Hey everyone, I'm Justin Fiedler, and this is DIRTRACKR Conversations. Coming off the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series weekend at Bristol, I wanted to chat with one of the series' full-time drivers about the experience, and who better to have than the hottest driver with the series lately. Carson Macedo joins me to talk through his Bristol experience, including his performance, whether there is a comparison for the track, how he approached the weekend, and more. We also discuss his 2021 season to date, the Ohio to California pipeline that currently includes his brother Cole, and my big championship question. Macedo is such a good guy to chat with as he's very thoughtful and his passion for sprint car racing is massive. So please enjoy my conversation with Carson Macedo. I want to start with Bristol. Obviously, this past weekend, you guys have two shows at Bristol, and it's, something that was 20 years in the making and all of this kind of buildup. And I guess just give me your overall general thoughts on the weekend and what you thought about Bristol.
I thought it was awesome. I think that it turned out to be a really good show. I feel like the speeds were really, really fast. I do think that it was faster than anything I've ever been on. But I don't think it was. I think a lot of people thought that it was going to be a lot worse than it really was. I also think that the track crew at Bristol and the equipment that they did an incredible job. In practice night there, the track kind of came apart a little bit, and they were able to go back out there, fill all those holes in, and really they came around with a roller and compacted everything back down, and just really did a good job. I was pretty impressed with all the equipment they had and the effort and time that they obviously put in to make that track what it was for us. Really early in the night, I think just the bottom having so much banking, like the bottom and the top, the banking was very similar. In fact, on the top, it might have been a tad less banked, I think. So the bottom was really quick throughout the early stages of the night, qualifying and heat race time. But come feature time, both nights, I thought it was really good. It raced well. The track widened up and we could run top bottom. Even there late in the second night, people started running right to the middle, So I was really impressed. I thought, as for my two nights performance wise, we ran third the first night and sixth the second night. I was really going into Bristol with really, really high expectations just because JJR in the past has been so good on half miles and performed so well on those big type of racetracks. But, overall, I thought that we had a consistent weekend. There was a lot of guys that had some really bad luck and, weren't able to finish events because of the wings blowing apart or engine failures or things like that. So, we didn't have anything, like that happen. And, luckily my race team does a really good job preparing everything. And, everything worked out and we were able to salvage two really, really good nights, consistent nights.
Did you approach that weekend any differently than you do any other World of Outlaws race? I mean, was it kind of I guess I'm asking because, from what we saw and what we heard kind of leading in, was this kind of like just a weekend of survival and you just kind of wanted to get out without any issues, or did you just attack it like it was any other World of Outlaws race?
Man, not for us. Like I was going there wanting to win. I was going there to attack both nights as hard as I could, race as hard as I could. I really believe in our components and all that stuff. So none of that ever crossed my mind or worried me. We have really good partners and parts and manufacturers that do a really good job, and we try and cycle our stuff out as much as we can. So I was not going there just to survive, man. I was going there to win, and we attacked it just like we would any other weekend. The only difference in our race car, I heard a lot of guys were building stronger front ends and doing different things that beef their race cars up. Man, we didn't do any of that. All we did was basically add another strap to our left side wing board, just to make sure that it was nice and sturdy. And instead of 4, we had 5. So whether that made a difference or not, I'm not sure. I mean, our wings stayed together, so that's a good thing. But no, I myself and JJR as a team, Philip, Clyde, and Nate, we all just attacked it just like any other weekend. I mean, every single night with the World of Outlaws is worth the same amount of points. So I think you have to go in every night with the attitude to go there and do your best and win, But I mean, I did hear that there was some guys just looking to survive and get through it. But that's just not, for me, like as a race car driver, that's never been my mentality. And the day that it is, man, I probably won't be doing it anymore.
Now that you've done it, does it compare to any other track you've raced at, any other track on the schedule?
You know, the track just got so much banking in the corners. So we don't really go to a racetrack that's that big we go to racetracks that are that big. Port Royal is similar in size, right? But it's the transition and the banking that's so drastic. Like, Port Royal, you run down the straightaway and you run into 11, 10 degrees of banking. I mean, that place is 20, 19, somewhere around there, right? So it's a pretty big transition, and you're just so locked into the racetrack because of that banking. We really had to do different things to our car to try and just get through the corners as quick as we could without getting too tight or lugging the engine down, just because you're so plugged into the banking. So, all in all, I think that we go to really big racetracks like Port Royal and Eldora, and I mean, it's not like it's nothing that we've ever seen before. But it definitely has its own characteristics like that. I mean, that the banking is, when it's fast, like it was early the second night where I think there was 17 guys in qualifying that were under the track record. I mean, man, you're hauling the mail around that place, and any little twitch when you're plugged into the banking that hard, moves your car around. So it's just really, really critical to keep the wheel straight and make sure that you're cutting through the wind and making momentum.
How did you feel after the weekend? I would imagine there's probably a lot more load on your body, but were you sore, your neck, or anything afterwards?
Man, not at all. I work out every day. Every day that's not a race day, I basically am in the gym, making sure that I'm fit and in shape. I feel like that's our job as race car drivers. I mean, we're professional athletes. I feel like we should be in the gym every day. You don't see football players and basketball players and baseball players not in the gym. So I feel like that's our job to be doing that. And that's I never really, unless I wreck really hard, I hardly ever get really sore or have any kind of complications the next day. So, I like to think that's because I do have such a strong workout plan. But I didn't feel fatigued at all or sore the next day.
15 races in right now. How do you feel so far about things and kind of where you sit in the points and all that stuff?
I feel like, man, my season's been like up and down, like a little bit of a roller coaster so far. So, we started on like an ultimate high, what I thought was an ultimate high. We were able to do really well down in Volusia, run, top 10, top 5 every night. And then basically leave Volusia. We took a month off there just because of weather and races getting canceled because of all the weather conditions. And then, basically went back to Volusia for that first night, won, ran third the next night, and we're off to an extremely good start. I think we're leading the points at one point, and then had some really bad luck and bad, a bad night and then some bad luck. Mongolia Mag, we broke a set of quick change gears in the feature, and that kind of gave us a DNF, so that was tough. Total, never one of those fluke deals that usually never happens, happened to us. So, and then after that, at Cotton Bowl Speedway, I wrecked twice in one night. We were able to salvage, I think, a 15th out of that. We were able to get back out, which was huge and big testament to my guys. But, since then, man, we've been like on the mend. It's been really good. We clicked off a win there at Hobstadt. We ran really well at Kokomo. We ran well this past weekend and consistent. And I think we're, now in third in points back in, in contention, I feel like. So, those top 7 or 8 spots are really close. But it's a long season. Like you said, we're 15 races into an 80 some, 90 race schedule. So it's, we're just beginning, and, the points don't matter, but it does give you an idea of your consistency and what you're doing night in, night out. But overall, I'm really happy with JJR Speed. I'm happy with, my race team. I mean, we got really good guys in Clyde Knipp and Nate Repitz, doing a really good job. Obviously, Philip Dietz is incredible. And we have partners. I mean, our sponsors are really happy, and, they're in it for the long haul in the future. So that makes me happy as a driver.
Like you mentioned, you start off the year, you get the All-Star win, you get a couple Outlaw wins, and one here recently. You've started really fast, and I'm curious, now that you're in year 3, what do you think the difference has been here the last couple of months to start the season? Is it you? Have you learned more, or is it JJR? Is it Phil? Like, is it the combination of you guys? Where do you kind of equate that?
I think it's a little bit of both. I feel like JJR in general is a team that has really built strong over the course of the time that it's been on the World of Outlaw tour. I mean, this isn't something that what feels, the program that he's built, the components he uses, and even his, knowledge wasn't built in a day. I mean, they've been on the Outlaw tour now for a few years. Jason obviously did an incredible job building this team, and spent a lot of time developing and researching what exactly works well together as a combination. And they just have a really good package, man. They learned a lot. I think Phil learned a lot in the last couple of years racing after Jason with David Gravel, and really had a lot of success together. So, and then as for me, I mean, coming from KLR, like you said, 2 years of experience now, full time on the Outlaw tour. Even though last year wasn't a full year, we still ended up running quite a bit of races. So, I just think, the first year you're going to new racetracks you've never been to a lot of the times. You're learning new things and you're just trying to belong. The second year is kind of, you hope to come and outperform the first year, so the pressures are a little higher. And then the third year you kind of settle in and just start executing what you're a little bit more confident and comfortable, every night, and you have an idea of pretty much every racetrack that you're going to for the most part. And then, I think just like you said, working with somebody like Philip that's really has an established program, I think just putting the whole combination together has been really nice. And I think added, hopefully to my success and this year being a little bit more consistent. Another thing that we struggled with last year with the 2-car was just to get qualified. There was times where we wouldn't qualify super well, and I don't really know why, to be honest with you. I can't pinpoint it, and I still couldn't. But we just struggled sometimes timing in, and for whatever reason this year I've been able to time in a little bit better. And last year I feel like I was a hard charger like all the time, so it's so much easier to do well, right, when you start front in these feature races, because man, like, it's no secret, like the World of Outlaws is so tough. When you're starting 10th on back, it's very, very hard to win these races. So
Now that this is your third year, and as you kind of look back over the last couple and what we see this year, I'm wondering about the level of competition this year. It seems like things have ratcheted up just a little bit. And it's like, you've got the normal guys, Brad, Donnie, and now you throw Logan on the rise. You're in there, Gravel, Reitzel coming in as a rookie. Like, is it, from where you're sitting, does it feel like it's ratcheted up like it has for us watching?
man, I think that this is the toughest the World of Outlaws ever been, depth wise, in my opinion. It is extremely ratcheted up. I think it's just, throughout the field, you see so much depth in guys that can win on any given night that are following the series full time. Like, to me, it's crazy that Aaron Reitzel is a rookie, because it's like, this guy has won World of Outlaw races. And I mean, and I had won a couple of Outlaw races too before I got on the road, but he just, ran so much with the All-Stars, and I felt like ran so many Outlaw races prior to that, hit or miss throughout the years over the last, I don't know how many years. So him coming in, it doesn't feel like he's a rookie. I mean, he's obviously doing a really good job and has a lot of speed on any given night. So, but I mean, you look at, like I said, Brad, Donnie, you got Logan, who's kind of coming into his own and performing as a championship guy now. You got David, Sheldon has been running really well lately. I feel like Brock Zierfoss is another addition that, he won World of Outlaw race before he's on the tour. Parker Price Miller, there's just so many good guys now that any given night could win. And if you look at the points, I mean, the top 8 or 9 are really, really close. And then we even have the guys that are bouncing in and out running with us that I think perform really well too, with Gio, Selzy with the 18 car. You got Spencer Basin running Bernie's stuff in the 71. And then the all-star guys come over and race with that. Sam Hayford, he's been really good. He was really fast at Bristol. I just think that there's so many good cars, and on any given night, like even at Bristol, we only had 28, 29 cars, but man, it was a solid field. Like almost anyone there could have won. So I think sprint car racing in general is in a really good place. I definitely think that the world of Outlaws, not only in their driver lineup, but in their partners, in the racetracks that are getting involved, the Dirt Vision now, how big Dirt Vision has become, and all the live broadcasts. And it's just sprint car racing in general, man, I just think is in a really, really good place.
One of the changes for you this season has been your off-season surgery, and I'm curious how that's affected you, to start the season, kind of being able to breathe better now in the race car.
Man, it's been huge. I couldn't say it enough. Like if somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, I got a deviated septum and I want some advice on what I should do." I'm an athlete, or any kind of you're in any kind of, even just in my general life, man, it's been huge. I don't get sick anymore. Like I'm not gonna say anymore, but very less often. Like I got my tonsils out, which was huge because I was getting strep throat multiple times a year. And I mean, as well as I do, like if you're going to the racetrack and you're not feeling well, or you're feeling under the weather, like you're not going to perform as well. That's just natural. When you don't feel good, it's hard to give the effort that you have to give to perform 30 laps in a sprint car race at 110%, so just not having to worry about getting strep throat and getting tonsillitis anymore has been huge. And then, my septum surgery, I mean, it just speaks for itself. Like, man, I can breathe amazing, like better. I didn't even realize how bad it was, like how bad it's crazy, but I didn't even realize, and now it's like amazing. And then when I would get sick, it was the same way. I'd get sick and I would get stuffed nose, and then I immediately get a sinus infection on that side of my face because, it just wouldn't drain. And man, it's been incredible. I'm so glad I did it. All the time in the past, I would go to Australia in the off season, which, don't get me wrong, I was incredibly disappointed that I didn't get to do that this past year. It was really disappointing for me, not just because of the racing over there, but more so because Sean and Felicity Dyson, Complete Parts and Equipment, they're sponsoring the 41 car, and very, very close friends of mine. Like they're like family to me. So to not be able to go over there and spend time with them this past off season sucked. But man, I do think that it was worth, staying home, getting those things fixed, because it's made a difference not only in my racing, I think, and in my career, but just in my life in general. So I'm really, really happy. It was probably 2.5 to 3 weeks of hell after getting it done, just because, man, I mean, if you could imagine, like I had these stents all in my nose, plus it was Christmas, like literally 2 or 3 days before Christmas, which sucked. But I had these stents that were all the way up into my nose, and then I had my tonsils, so I couldn't breathe out of my nose at all. And then I had to like mouth breathe, and my tonsils hurt. So it was hell, man, especially sleeping at night. But man, it was worth every bit of 2 weeks of hell to have a lifetime of, ease and happiness, and no more of that. Laying, I'd be in the middle of nowhere in North Dakota or somewhere that I have nobody, in a hotel room by myself with tonsillitis or strep throat, and that ain't fun.
Yeah, for sure. Busy weekend this weekend. Jacksonville, as we talk, Jacksonville tomorrow night on Thursday, and then I-70 this weekend. You are the most recent winner at Jacksonville, and then the series hasn't been to I-70 in a really long time. So tell me about the weekend and your approach to it.
Man, I love Jacksonville. I've only been there twice in a wing sprint car, I think. 3 times. I ran a MOA show there for Jimmy Davies back in 2016, and then I ran 2019. We actually raced the first show there was in April, I think, or May, and it got rained out, but I sat on the pole that night, and then it got rained out, and then we came back and I actually won later in September of 2019. So I love Jacksonville. I just think it's a bull ring. It fits my driving style a little bit, especially growing up in California. So I'm extremely excited to go there, tomorrow night. And then as for I-70, I've never been there. I've watched a couple of videos actually that they put out, some 360s. just running around there testing. And it seems like it'll be a pretty good racetrack. I know, there's a lot of promotion going into it, and hopefully we get a big turnout. And hopefully the racetrack race is good. It's hard to really get it, like, not that I don't get excited, but it's hard to get pumped up or this or that when you don't really know what to expect yet. So, we'll just roll in there with an open mind and give it our best effort.
I talked to Jacob Horde last week. Jacob is on the Ohio Dirt Track podcast and writes for Ohio Dirt. We were talking actually kind of about your brother and the situation in Ohio. And it seems like all of a sudden we have this like California to Ohio pipeline. And it's like, you did it, your brother's doing it. We saw Buddy Kofoid do it. And, for what you went through and what you're seeing your brother go through, why do you think that's valuable for guys to come out of California and then come race in Ohio?
Well, I mean, I could tell you the number one reason easily, but before I go into that, I think Ohio's just got a lot to offer. There's just so many racetracks that race every single weekend. It's just a lot like Pennsylvania. I feel like if you're going to go wing sprint car racing full time on a local level, you either race in Ohio or Pennsylvania. So, Pennsylvania, with that being said, like Pennsylvania is such a stretch, right? Like to come from California straight to PA would be a tough transition just because the racetracks are so much different. Like we're used to like little tiny quarter-mile bull rings, and then to just go straight from that to Williams Grove, Port Royal, Baps and Lincoln and Grandview and all them tracks would be pretty intimidating. And I think would maybe be such a big transition that it'd take a lot more time, I think, to get comfortable. Where if you kind of make that transition from California to Ohio to some slick, smaller racetracks, and then start to work your way into Pennsylvania a little bit, I think that's just a little bit better of an approach. But man, the number one reason that I think you see that happening is really just because of the Linder family. In 2016, I was lucky enough to meet them through Jason Myers. I went to the PRI show with Jason Myers, and actually Brian Bloomfield, one of Jason's past crew chiefs, introduced me to Craig and Les Mintz. And at the time, Craig and Les Mintz had fielded a car the year before that for Chris Andrews. And the Linder family took care of that car. So when I felt that Chris had made the transition to racing for a different team that following year, and I had the schedule basically that they wanted to run. They didn't want to run full time. I was running a midget part time for Keith Coons, and then had to fill in my schedule with sprint car races in Ohio. And they're just such good people, man. Like they took care of me. They really made me feel at home, and they're really, really good mechanics in that area. They've raced our, Mike grew up racing there. His brother Steven worked on his car, and now they've kind of just basically created an avenue where they work on other people's cars. So with Buddy, it was Ed Newmeister was our car owner, and then Ray Brooks now that owns Cole's team was sort of a sponsor on that team. And then now Ray went on his own, and created his own team for my brother, and which was amazing, man. Like I just think that was a really cool deal. Cole ran some races last year with Jay Kaiser, and went through a little bit of a learning curve, I think, on his end, and just it got him out there, and got him, to meet everybody. And he was living with the Linder family, and now, obviously Ray Brooks has made this team, and he's racing with them, and doing a really good job. They've won a race now and are starting to see results and consistency, I think, throughout each week of race. And so I think more than anything, man, it just has to do with them. Like when I went and ran with them, I realized how good they were and how much they helped me progress in my career. And so I mentioned them, hey, if you get an opportunity to put somebody in a car, you need to look at this Buddy Kofoid kid. He's really good and doing a really good job out there. And so they put Buddy in their car, and they were happy with him and the way he drove. And then Buddy, I mean, you could see Buddy's just got a lot of talent. So it was only a matter of time before Buddy kind of moved on and now racing more nationally with other teams like KKM and sorts like that. But no, it's a good position now that my brother's in. I think he has the opportunity to do the same. If he can work hard enough and get the results and show that he has that kind of potential, I think he'll eventually, hopefully graduate on to a team that'll run the All-Stars full time. And then from there, maybe maybe get on the World of Outlaw tour, like I did over the years. So I just think that, the biggest reason right now that you're seeing that out of the drivers that you named is because of the Linder family and the opportunity that's there. But I do think it's the best transition, with the most amount of racing available on a local level. So I think those two things definitely play into it the most. I mean, you see, like, Pennsylvania weekly racing is very, very tough, and you have to really have a good car and people that know what they're doing on the mechanic side in PA, just because the racetracks are so different.
Well, I appreciate the time today. I'll let you go on this. It's kind of a big question, so I apologize for that part of it. But this week on my daily show, I kind of brought up this question about, do kind of season-long championships in dirt racing matter? And I talked to Paul Nienheiser about this yesterday, and I want to ask you the same thing. From where you're sitting, do dirt racing championships matter to the drivers? And obviously you're in a unique position because you race full-time with the World of Outlaws. And I would imagine that's a championship you probably want pretty badly. But as you're coming up and things like that, do championships mean maybe more to fans or more to the media than they do to the drivers, do you think?
Man, I think that, I think it depends on what you're running for. But I will say, for me, like, that's something that that's first of all, the World of Outlaw, being a World of Outlaw champion is my ultimate goal. Like, everything I want to do in racing, don't get me wrong, I want to win big races. I want to win the Knoxville Nationals. I want to win the Crown Jewel events, the Ironman, the Knoxville Nationals, the King's Royal, all those big races. But man, I really my ultimate goal is to win a World of Outlaw championship. I just think that's when you win a World of Outlaw championship, you stamp yourself in as you were the best driver that year that performed on the World of Outlaw tour with the best guys in the world at what you do in the discipline. So I just think that's the ultimate feat. I mean, an Outlaw championship is tough to win. 90 races is you don't just luck into one of those championships. There's no way in the world anybody lucks into an Outlaw championship. Like, if you win an Outlaw championship, you earned it 100%. So, that's my ultimate goal, and that means a lot to me. And it's something that I work towards, and I think about, how can I do that? What little things can I do in my daily life every day to get to that goal faster? And the people that are involved in me, involved with my racing and that have supported me over the years, Tommy Tarleton and Sean Dyson and Jason Myers, and I've had some new sponsors come on board here lately as well, and obviously all JJR's partners. That's what they want as well, so that's the common goal we're all working towards. But I mean, I think that they mean a lot, even in other divisions. When I was racing with Joe Gertie in the 3G car, I wanted to win the All-Star Championship. I ended up coming short. I ended up running second to Aaron Reitzel in the driver's points, but it was interesting every week because we were going back and forth that year. I mean, I had led, he led, I led, he led, and he ended up, winning it in the end. Did a really good job. But I, when I was in California, that was my ticket really that got me out of California. I had ran the year prior to that. I had won a World of Outlaw race at Chico. And I begged Tarleton's, I want to win. I want to run for the King of the West Championship. That's all I want to do. I don't care if I don't run another race. I want to run for King of the West Championship. That was our pinnacle. That was our World of Outlaws. That was our All-Stars of California. So, we ended up running for that championship that year. We started out just to see how we would do and ended up winning it. And that was kind of my ticket. Once I won the championship, I asked them to bring their stuff to the Midwest, and they weren't really interested in that, but kind of gifted my gift from them to do the KKM ride. They ended up paying for me to go race with Keith for a year. So, it's what helped me get out of California. I just feel like when you win a championship, you are the best, most consistent car over the course of a season. And I think that that's really important. And I feel like it takes a different mentality to win championships. You have to, basically minimize risk sometimes. But at the same time, nobody wants to win championships and not win races. So, you still take risks, you still try and win races. But, the nights when you're sometimes maybe an 8th or 9th place car, you might run 6th or 5th, but, you might not you might not take the risk to crash it for one of those positions. So I do feel like, it takes not only being a great, talented driver, but also a smart racer and having a good team behind you that makes sure that your car finishes that race every night as well.
Well, Carson Macedo, I certainly appreciate the time today. Appreciate you taking some time out of a busy World of Outlaws week, but good luck this weekend and good luck the rest of the season.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.